Hello friends, this is Durga again from ITversity, and as part of getting started Dynamo DB for Java developers, in this video I will show you how you can actually work using command line interface. So using command line interface helps you in many ways. For example, if you only use web console and once you create the table, applying all types of filters here is not possible. It only facilitates a few regular filters, but more complex querying options cannot be done using the web console. Either you have to use command line interface. It gives you more flexibility when it comes to running the queries against DynamoDB table, or you have to write programs using either Java or .NET or any other programming language. So we will see how we can create table from command line interface, how we can insert data, and how we can actually query and also scan all the operations which we have performed on testing DG. We will look into that using this table called stock EOD. So let me drop the existing stock EOD table, and then we will run the queries, perform the DynamoDB operations from command line. So to use the command line, first you have to set up the command line interface. And I have already covered about command line interface on my YouTube channel. You can go to my channel and click on Amazon Web Services. And command line interface is covered in detail for both Windows and Mac. It is a two-step process, a three-step process. First you need to download the command line interface, or you can actually use pip installer to install command line interface, and then you have to configure by using access key and secret key. So I will highly recommend to go through these details, go through these 3 videos. Or if you are using Windows, you can go through 12 and 14 in this playlist, and if you are using Mac, you have to go through all 3 videos, and you can set up the command line interface. So to validate whether your command line interface is set up or not, you can run this command called AWS Dynamo DB help to see the help of AWS subcommand called Dynamo DB. So AWS is the main command to interact with AWS using access key and secret key. So access key and secret key is mapped to your AWS account. By running AWS command, after configuring your access key and secret key, you can interact with your AWS account, and you can take care of almost everything you can do in web console using command line interface. So here you can see there are multiple commands: create table, describe table, update table, list tables, delete table, get item, batch get item, query, scan, modifying the data by using put item, update item, delete item, which is DML. All these things can be done, and these are the list of commands which is supported using command line. So you can actually go to the end of the help, and most of the commands are self-explanatory. For example, create table is used to creating the table, and as you are aware, when you try to create the table, for example, if you are trying to create the table, you have to tell the only thing which you need to pass is the table name and primary key type, whether it is hash and range or hash, and then you have to choose the column names and define the data type. So all these things can be done using command line interface to create the table, and we will see that now. So I already have the script. And I will upload in my GitHub account. So my GitHub account is accessible by going to github.com/dgadiraju. You can actually look at the description in my videos, and you can see where my GitHub repository is if you cannot see the web URL here. And everything related to code will be in the code repository, and probably under NoSQL I will have the DynamoDB project created or there can be a separate project also, depending upon how I will set up the IDE, Java IDE to develop the programs against DynamoDB as part of the course. We will see that at the right moment, but for now just remember the repository name and try to subscribe to it. And here either you will find DynamoDB under NoSQL, or directly under code you will have a DynamoDB directory where you will find the script which I am showing. So the first command is DynamoDB create table. Pretty straightforward. AWS is the main command, DynamoDB is the sub command for the service or service level command, and then create table is the command under the service to create the table. And first thing is you have to pass the table name by using --, and this space slash is to continue the command in new line. It's a Linux standard. So if you want to write your command in multiple lines, you have to put a space slash at the end of each line wherever you want to get the line break. So the first parameter is table name. I have given the table name here, and then the attribute definitions. And here the attribute definitions are so I'm using composite key. Let us go through the data and understand how the data looks like, and then we will understand why we are doing this way. Okay, and you can actually whatever I am showing here, the data set, you can actually get from the repository. You can go to the D Gadiraju, and then there is the repository called data, in which there is a directory called NYSC, and this is the one which I am showing in. But in GitHub, I have uploaded as a gzip file, a tarball which is zipped using gzip format. But if you untag them, and the data will look like this. NYS, okay, not this one. Let me say research, big data, NYSC, LSLTR, and CD raw data. And this is the data which we will be inserting into the DynamoDB table by the end of this course. And you can see that it is a 7-field table, and the first one is stock ticker, which is of string type. The second one is date, which is of again string type, because in DynamoDB there are only 3 data types: binary, string, and number. And then there are 5 fields which are numeric. 4 of them are float or double, and last one is big int integer. So we want to upload this data into DynamoDB, and while creating the table, you just need to define your primary key, column names, and data types. And if you now go back to the command to define the primary key on these 2 fields, the reason why I want to use these 2 fields is if I want to get the information of my stock for a given date, like volume, low price, this is the low price, open price, high price, closing price, or volume. If I want any of these attributes by passing the stock and the date, I can build the key based upon key stock and date, and I can get the details. So I will be trying to upload this data into DynamoDB using the Java program, and for that I have to define the attributes. So attribute definitions is the control argument, in which each attribute has to be passed using attribute name equal to, and then you have to give the name, and after that you have to pass the comma, define the attribute type, and S for string, N for numeric, and B for binary. In this case, stock ticker is string, so attribute type is yes, and like that you can have as many attributes as you want here. In this case, I am only predefining 2 attributes, One is stock ticker and other one is trade date, and attribute type is string for trade date. And then I need to define the key schema. So here I am trying to define the key schema on these two attributes. I think you can have many attributes as part of the attribute definitions, but as part of the key schema, you can only have either one or two columns as keys. If it is hash only, then you can have only one column. If it is hash range, you can have two columns, the first column as hash and the second column as range. So whatever we are trying to do here, we are doing it here. We are actually defining the key schema. It is very important to understand this. You will see the value of it when we are talking about data model towards the end of this getting started series. And then provision throughput. Again, you need to be you need to be aware of pricing by now before you actually configure read capacity units and write capacity units. I will cover the pricing later. So for now, I'm using one read capacity unit and one write capacity unit, which will cost me around 60 cents per month. And here you have to define the region so that it actually creates the Dynamo DB table in whatever region you want. Either you can pre-configure your region by using AWS configure command while configuring the command line interface, or you can actually define the region while creating the table like this. So to recap, create table is to create the table name. You have to define the attributes at least for the keys, and then you have to define the key schema, either hash or hash range, and you have to define the provision throughput. By default it's 1 and 1. Depending upon the capacity units, the pricing will vary. And then the region. Once you have all this information, you can run this command. Once you, after configuring your command line interface, AWS command line interface, and hit enter. So now you can see that table is created without any errors, and you can actually access this table using ARN. I will cover this thing later when we actually develop the Java program. For now, the table is created, and you can actually go back to the AWS console, and you can this is the previous table which is deleted. Now you can actually refresh, and you can see the new table which is active. So the key is on stock ticker and trade date, and if you look at if you try to scan the table, there is nothing at this time because we just created the table. Okay, so this is how you can create the table using command line. Now we will see how you can actually insert the data, and also you can actually query the data. So inserting the data, for inserting, again, if you go to AWS Dynamo DB help and hit enter and go to the end by hitting capital G for Georgia, you can see that there is a command called put item to insert a new record into the table. Update item is to update the existing record, and this is the example of put item. So AWS is the command line interface for AWS, and then DynamoDB is the service level command, and put item is the command which we are trying to use to insert the data. And then we have table name, item, return consumed capacity, and region as control arguments. For control argument table name, we have to pass the table name into which the data should be inserted. And here data is pretty much structured, so we will have the same column names across all the rows, across all the items in all the rows in the table. And item, actually you have to start with a single quote, and you have to format in the JSON format. And first you need to give the column name. This is the JSON format. For each column name you have to give the column type and value. So this is the within this main JSON item, for item we have multiple sub items, and each one have the column name as key, and for each of the column key we have the attribute type and the attribute value again as a JSON item. So like that we have defined for all the fields in the table. We can actually script it and dynamically insert the data from our CSV files also, which we will see later using Java approach. But this is how you can actually build from command line and insert data into the table. You can use any scripting language to do so, not necessarily Java. So this is the just an example, and then this control argument, and one more thing you need to remember is you cannot put this space slash in each of the line within the JSON. So once the single quote is started under the item, until it encounters the its counterpart which is under single quote, everything will be read as one item. And if you have new line characters in space and slash to break the line, or if you have line breaks within the item, then it will cause the syntax issues. It will not be it is not well formed JSON. So for that reason, you have to make sure that your JSON is well formed and do not have the line breaks in between. And once the item is done, you can have the line break like this, and you can pass the next control argument. Return consumed capacity will be returning how many rows are inserted as part of this put command, and then region control argument will tell in which region your table exists. So you can have that same table name across multiple regions, I guess. I'm not 100% sure on that. But you have to pass the region name either explicitly, or you have to configure your command line so that it actually inserts into the table in actual region. I think you can have same table name across multiple regions. That being said, now let us run this command. Pretty straightforward. Only thing is you need to be familiar with this JSON, and you have to get used to this command. That's the more important thing. To recap, AWS Dynamo DB put item, table name is the first control argument, item with well formed JSON with column names, and each column name have the column type and value associated with that column name. And again, the attribute type or column name is defined as S or N or B, S for string, N for number, and B for binary. And then you can have additional control arguments like return consumed capacity, region, etc., and hit enter. And because we have asked to return the consumed capacity, it has returned it. The capacity unit is 1. And now let us run the second command. To insert, I am just inserting 2 records, one for stock ticker A, January 1st, 2009, and the other one for stock ticker A, January 2nd, 2009, and paste it. So you have 2 queries now, sorry, two records now. You can validate by going to the web console and run scan on them, click on go, and you can see both the values here. And if you want to perform the same scan from command line interface, it looks like this. So AWS is the main command, Dynamo DB is the service level command, scan is the sub command for under Dynamo DB, and then table name is the control argument which accepts the table name, and then the region. So it is like select star from a given table, and you can copy this and you can paste it. And you can see it return both the records. Stock ticker A, trade date 1st January 2009, and actually when it returned the data, it is sorted by the column names even from the keys when you actually try to return using scan from command line. Because it is JSON, automatically it will sort by column names when it actually return on standard out. That's why the data is sorted like this. Okay, and the scanned count is 2 because we have 2 records in the table. And also we have seen query option where you can apply the filters. Even on scan also you can apply the filters, but I am not going into those details. I just gave the example of simple scan command. So the query command will look like this. Again, AWS is the main command, DynamoDB is the service level command, query is the one which will accept the key conditions either on keys or values, and then the first control argument is table name and region, and in the key conditions again it's a well-formed JSON. So here I want to query based upon stock ticker for attribute values of type string which have a as the value, and then comparison operator is equal, and you can have different comparison valid comparison operators while querying the data. And also I would like to apply the filter condition on trade date also, and again it's a equal operator, and the attribute value lists are of type string, and I want to search for stock ticker A for this day and return the value. So it has to be a well-formed JSON under key conditions, and you can copy paste it here, and you will see one record for stock ticker A and trade date 1st January 2009. You have close price, low price, high price, open price, and volume. And you can see that this is a little bit cumbersome to pass the well-formed JSONs as part of either querying or inserting into the table. So for that reason they facilitate another option where you can actually pass the JSON as a file using file protocol, and you have to give the absolute path under file protocol, and this is the command. So AWS DynamoDB query, table name, stock EOD, key conditions. Only difference between the query which have key conditions with well-formed JSON and this one is in place of key conditions we have the full path of our JSON file which have the well-formed JSON which we are trying to use to search. I will show the well-formed JSON in a moment. Let me run this query, and we will review both the results as well as the dynamo query.json file. Hit enter, and you can see the query returning the results. And now let us copy, ignore file colon // and then take this path and go to this console, and then do view and hit enter. You can see that it's a well-formed JSON which is exactly same as the one which is passed as part of key conditions in the previous query, which is highlighted here. Okay, so that being said, so this is how you can leverage the command line interface and take care of certain actions against DynamoDB. And that's it for now, and as part of the subsequent videos we will be seeing many topics starting from how to set up your Eclipse IDE to develop programs against DynamoDB, and all the operations which we have taken care now will be shown in Eclipse IDE, and also we will see the data modeling a little bit in detail towards the end of the course. That being said, I hope you are enjoying the content so far on my channel. If you like this video, please click on the like button. If you want to provide the feedback and ask any technical question related to this video, please use the comment section of the video. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. You will see a lot more content over time, and I promise that my channel will get bigger and better in all possible ways. Thank you. Bye.